By nature, human beings, as we grow up, there's a sense of belongingness that already exists in us. And if your family or your immediate foundation did not take time to groom that sense of belongingness, you end up growing with that trauma. That is, if you don't recover or heal from it. And then it begins to toll the way you want to live your life or the way you live your life. Sometimes it's conscious, many times it's even unconscious. You don't know that you are drawing that magnet, but you realize that this is a pattern that is continuous in your life. And it is all because of the orientation that you were exposed to. So with such people or with such experiences, you realize that you become needing of that void, that gap that was empty in your foundation. You grow up wanting to fill that void or having a craving to satisfy that void. So if your emotional needs were neglected, if you grew up in a family where you don't get to talk, you are not allowed to express yourself, you are not validated. We have parents who, even if your child is first in class, you don't see it as a big deal. Oh, you're first, so what? So because you lack that emotional support whilst you were growing up, many people grow up needing that support because yes, their brain will call or crave for that that emptiness to be filled. I hope you understand me. I'm just trying to build a point, and then we go into the realistic issues of how to apply, these traits in our lives. So I hope you all get me.
Mhm.
So now, how do we even know that we are people pleasers? We confuse people pleasing with, oh, I'm a good person. I think I'm just a nice person. I'm kind. I'm generous. And we are happy. We are happy with that assertion of ourselves that you're a good person. But being a people pleaser is not only about being good. It's about drawing the balance. Are you able to balance your being good to other people against being good to yourself? Are you so good to other people that you forget being good to yourself? Are you so focused on giving to other people that you don't take time to ask or to slow down and ask if what am I also giving to myself as much as I'm giving to people? And many times this craving, it stems from wanting to be validated by these people. So it could be in friendships, it could be in committed relationships like marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend relationships, cohabitation, etc. Or even the relationships we keep with our family and children. So the need to be validated, the need to be seen as that person is what drives the craving to want to do things to appeal to these people. So if you find yourself in, let's say, a working environment and you are this people pleaser, you realize that you try to be that workaholic who has to sort everybody at every point in time. So when someone says, oh, can you hold the fort for me today? There you are. Can you do this for me? And then it's you. Can you do that for me? Can you go here for me? And over time, you become that person. So if anyone wants someone to do those jobs for them, they're like, oh, why don't you see Rosette? I think Rosette will do this for you. I think
Mm,
Rosette has the
mm,
time.
mm.
And over time, you feel like, oh, you are that great person, that person who is there for everybody. But in hindsight, there's this underlying craving to want to be that person. And it makes it difficult for you to draw the line between yourself and these other people. You are giving more to them than you are giving to yourself because you want to be that
Mm.
person to them. When we bring it into our love relationships, you realize that you are trying so hard, so much to be validated in those relationships that your own self is out of the equation and it is only this other person who is the dominant factor in the relationship because you have to shrink yourself to be that person for him or her. And it applies both sides. Do you understand? So for people pleasers, it's difficult to say no. Even when you have to say no, you cannot say no because the anxiety of, oh my God, if I say no, how will this person feel? If I say no, it means I'm a bad person. If I say no, then I'm not a good friend. If I say no, then I haven't been a good husband or a good wife. But in actual sense, at that moment, you cannot attend to that commitment. So if you have to neglect yourself to attend to people's commitments because you have to be, that is where we call you a people pleaser. If you're unable to draw the balance, you are overcommitted to plans, you are overcommitted to relationships, you are overcommitted to responsibilities at the expense of yourself. You avoid anything that will cause disagreement because voicing out or giving your honest opinion brings you anxiety. And it may stem from, again, our background. In your family, you don't question authority. In your family, you don't talk back. In your family, you don't express yourself. You are just not allowed to. When we look at families that have dominant violence and children even experience some of these violent behaviors, that either mommy or daddy, is the tyrant in the family, and everybody just has to shut up because they are there. So you have to always walk on eggshells at the person's, presence or whatever it is. Gradually, it becomes you, it becomes your orientation, and you grow through it into other relationships. So you are always making sure that I don't have to offend this person before they smash me in the face. Let me just give that example. Because of that experience you've had from childhood. So voicing out gives you anxiety. You have to go along with anything. Once this person says, I want to see you at 2 a.m., and you know that 2 a.m. you have to do something or be asleep at 2 a.m., but this person wants to see you at 2 a.m. And you're like, I should be sleeping at 2 a.m. Oh, no, I'll be there. When you know very well that it is an inconvenient time for you, but because there is the fear or anxiety of disagreeing with people, you have to always shrink yourself. So you go along with everybody. And there's this pressure to be overly friendly, overly nice, overly good. Like you just have to be everybody's person, even when it's tiring, even when it is not in favor of you. And I believe some of us are beginning to identify, or we've already identified some of these traits in our everyday relationships or interactions with people. So what are some of the things that cause us to become some of these people, to have some of these traits? A significant one is trauma. Most importantly, childhood traumas. Like I gave the example earlier, if you grew up in a codependent environment, the chances that you have low self-esteem, you have trust issues, you become clingy, you have this craving for attention, love, likeness from other people, validation from other people will be present. So it grows with you into your adult years and it manifests in the relationships that you keep people. So you find out that I have to hold on to this person so I don't lose them, or I have to hold on to this situation so I don't lose it. So even if it means being degraded, even if it means being devalued, even if it means being insulted, I'll have to be there because I don't want this thing or this person to leave. Even if it's toxic, you still find yourself being there at the mercy of this person or at the mercy of the relationship. So trauma is a significant one. Trauma stems from various experiences. Abuse is one, and abuse is cut across: sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, etc. Exposure to these things, especially when we don't heal from them, stems into our adult years. Family orientation, like I already mentioned. Now, I want you to ask yourself this question before we move on. If I stop pleasing these people, what will happen? If you find out that if I stop pleasing them, okay, let's take a relationship, for example. If I stop pleasing my wife, or if I stop living my life at the mercy of what will people say, what will people think, what will happen? So take 2 seconds to think about it, and then write your answer down. If you have a jotter, if you have a phone, type out your answer to yourself. That if I stop being this person, what will actually happen? If I stop pleasing these people, what will happen? Worst case scenario, what will happen? If you live your life um, for yourself or with yourself in priority, what will happen? And write down your answer, whether in your notebook or on your phone, somewhere. What will happen if you stop pleasing these people? So just take 2 seconds. So now let's proceed. So how do we manage to draw the lines for ourselves? Like I said earlier, people-pleasing behaviors are not clinical conditions. They are behavior traits that we pick up from the orientation we've had. And in most times, it is the difficulty in striking the balance. If you are able to strike the balance between your needs and the other person's needs, you always set clear boundaries. So we'll go into creating boundaries also, how to set boundaries for yourself and then other people. So how do we do this? First, I want us to start by apologizing and forgiving ourselves for all the times we had to shrink ourselves so other people can be the dominant factor over us, or for society, or for family, or friends. There are people who, how do I put it? In the family, all they do is to take. They never give. So by the end of the month, you are receiving your salary. You have a tall list of people who are calling to collect from you. But nobody takes time once, even in the month, to check how are you doing, how are you coping? You fine? What can we do to help you? What can we do to assist you? But they are waiting for the end of the month. You haven't sent me the money, or you haven't done this, you haven't done that. But they never take time to find out how you are doing. Where this money is coming from, they don't care. But at the end of the month, they are taking from you. And you are lacking the ability to strike the balance that, this very time, I don't have it. Or this money, no. I want to use this for myself. Because these are people who clearly are just out to take, out to receive, but you are lacking the ability to draw the line, to strike the balance, and to make that intentional choice of choosing yourself. So that is what we'll be looking at as we proceed. So apologize and forgive yourself for all the times that you had to shrink, so all these people will be the dominant figure. All the times you had to shrink yourself, so your partner will be the valuable person or the dominant figure in that relationship you are in. All the times you had to shrink yourself, all the times you had to do extra hours at work, so your colleagues can just go out, sleep, have fun, and then you stay and cover up for them. When you know very well that you also need that time for rest, or you need that time to do other things for yourself, but you always have to be the one holding the fort. So apologize and forgive yourself. Today is 13th November. So today is the day you forgive yourself. Now let's start small. Change, like Rosette said in the intro, we are not magicians. I don't know any clinician who will tell you that once you come to me at the snap of their finger, you everything that you have problems with will just vanish. It is a gradual process. So start small. Start by identifying the areas in your life where you have put people ahead of you, where you have over-prioritized people ahead of you. If it's in your relationship or your marriage or your relationship with your family, your relationship with colleagues, your relationship with whoever it is, even your church or your mosque. If we have religious people here who are either Christian, Muslim, or other religions, sometimes your over affiliation to the church, the mosque, the shrine. I don't know if people still go to the shrine, but your over affiliation to all these religious factors in our lives can also stem people pleasing behaviors. Because, okay, today there's watch night, and you know very well that today has been one of the very tough days. Like you are so tired, you can't afford to blink 2 seconds more, but you have to go to church for watch night. And then by morning, you resume work. If you had just taken 2-3 hours to rest, going to work or the following time you have to be at a productive site, it will be more productive. But you have to risk the value of that productivity because you are affiliated to a religious body. Drawing the lines, striking the balance. That is where the problem is. Now, understand also that no is a complete answer or a complete statement. No further additives, no other explanations. Normalize the culture of saying no and meaning it because it is truly what it is. That, you know what, I can't do this today. Can we reschedule this? Can we do this another time? Can we have this conversation at another, a more safer time or a more convenient time? It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you unfit for that relationship or that friendship. But it just means that you are drawing clear lines and clear boundaries for yourself and the relationship you find yourself in. And once you normalize that no is a complete sentence, start saying yes to yourself. For all the times you said yes to other people, for all the times you said yes to other things, when it should have been no, start putting yourself at that end. Be that friend you always say yes to. Be that spouse you always say yes to. Be that colleague you always say yes to. Start seeing yourself as that person. And then gradually, the ability to say yes to yourself in genuine situations will become easier. Because we love, I would even call it love. The anxiety to keep these people makes it seem like once we say no, we will lose them. Once we say no, we will not have them or we will not find ourselves at the place where we want with them. So let me just give in. Let me just say yes. Let me do everything to please this person. Let me do everything at the mercy of this person. Let me do everything so this person will see me worthy of their love. So much so that you shrink yourself. You put yourself always, not even second, like you put yourself last all the time. So now, put yourself first. See yourself as this other person that you cherish and want to have. You want to be that person too. And start saying yes to yourself. Once we normalize the culture of saying no and restructure the ability to say yes to ourselves, we realize that we start drawing the boundaries, we start striking the balance, we start making those intentional choices. So now, how do we set these boundaries? I divided the ability to set boundaries into 5 skills or 5 areas of our lives: emotional, material, time or energy, mental, and physical. And material-wise, how do we establish clear boundaries? I gave an example with money, salary, or people who are always taking things from you. People who always want you to share with them but never share with you. So there's this particular friend or this, I think everybody has that friend or everybody has that person who always wants to take but never gives. When there's good news, he or she is always available. They are always around. But the moment you are down, you don't see them. They just go extinct. And then they show up when there's juice again. That person or those traits in the people we have in our lives, we find ourselves even in love relationships where your partner, they never call you, they never reach out to you, except they need something or they need to sleep with you. So until then there's no need for you. And then you find yourself being the one chasing up after them all the time. And then it is only when they need, they just find some words, corner you one way somehow. You fall for it, and then the cycle continues. So you realize that this it goes all around, comes back, and then it's cyclical. So you are giving, you are sharing your space, you are sharing your items. There's this friend who always borrows stuff from you, they never return, or when they return, it is in bad condition and they don't care whether you fix it or not. But the next time they are up asking for stuff from you again, and you just can't say no because that anxiety to disagree is there. I think I'm just a peaceful person. I don't like conflict. I don't want any situation where someone feels that I'm not kind to them. But this person or these people are clearly taking advantage of you. Everybody around can see except you. But you still find yourself enabling that cycle. So the material part of boundaries is prioritize the things that are important to you. And then when people who do not value these things as much as you do tend to go beyond or intrude into that space, we've understood that no is a complete sentence. Be able to say no. That you know what? I'm not giving my car to you this time around because you always come back with my fuel bar at empty. You always come back with something damaged on my car. But you never take time to ask if I fix it up or how I fix it. Yet you always come back to borrow my car. These are examples I'm giving. Now, the second one is our emotional boundaries. I said earlier that when we find ourselves from codependent families or backgrounds, that orientation to want to needing love, needing comfort, validation from other people is there. You being clingy to these people is there. But how do we set these healthy boundaries? Can you start seeing yourself as someone you love and start treating yourself like that person? Is it possible to now befriend yourself the way you want to befriend all other people? The things you do for people that makes you yearn that validation, can we start doing those things for ourselves? Have we identified the length we go for people just for them to validate us? Can we start doing those things for ourselves? Most especially when you realize that the relationship is very one-sided and this person is clearly taking advantage of you. Now, the third one is your time and energy. Currently, I'm in a phase I call energy management. If whatever vibe you are bringing is coming to drain me, is coming to kill my battery, I'm conserving my energy. There are people who always call you when it is only bad news. And they don't care, they don't filter, they don't censor whatever it is. They only call you when it is bad news. There's this auntie that will only call you when it is bad news. There's this friend who only call you when it is bad news. or it is only when they break up, maybe their partner does something to them, maybe in a relationship, when there is problem, that is when they call you. But when the relationship is vibing, you don't hear from them. It is only when there is problem that they'll call you. Do you know that the guy cheated on me again? Or do you know that this girl has done this again? And they'll rant and rant and rant. So you are like an outlet for them. You become their trash can, and you are always receiving that energy. Let's start identifying those people in our lives. And once they come, we tell, you know what, I think we should reschedule this call. Okay. I'll call you. I'll call you when I'm more fit to have this conversation with you. Or if you are bold enough, you can tell them that, you know what, you only call me when things are rough. You only call me when this person jilts you. You only call me when it's negative stuff. Do you ever think about me when things are rosy, when things are cool? And then just leave it at that. Maybe their conscience will give them the answers that they need to hear. So energy management, keep your energy at all costs. If you are familiar in Africa, you know that we have a lot of light outages. So imagine you haven't charged your phone and your battery is on, let's say, 15%, and the lights go out. You don't even know what time the lights are going to come back. And then somebody is calling you video call. When you know that the video call will drain all your battery and your phone will die out. And that little energy you could have saved to do other things, you find yourself losing out on that. So take yourself like your phone battery. Start seeing yourself now like your phone battery. Whenever that energy is coming to meet you, ask yourself, am I charged up enough to receive this energy? Am I charged up enough to give into or to yield to this energy? If not, let's postpone. You might not have to say no entirely, but not now or not yet is also to say that I'm keeping my energy. In this way, you are saying yes to yourself and then no to the negative energy. Now, fourth, we have the mental boundaries. Let's also identify that we have diverse thoughts. The fact that I believe that the world is round and you believe that the world is flat does not mean that we don't have valid points. If I say, oh, God is a man, and you say God is a woman, it doesn't mean that we should disagree or we disagree so we cannot be the same. Disagreement is part of the variety of life. The diversity that we see ourselves. For those of you in Dubai, I'm sure like the culture there is so diverse, and it can be sometimes a cultural shock for people, new people who are coming there because of that diversity. And we need to acknowledge that the fact that I don't agree with you does not mean that we should conflict or we are fighting. So it makes that anxiety always not to disagree with somebody or for someone not to disagree with you. It starts reducing that anxiety. Normalize the fact that people have diverse thoughts, people have diverse opinions, and the fact that it doesn't tally with yours or yours doesn't tally with theirs does not mean that you cannot thrive with that person. Even in families that, siblings that were brought up by the same parents, you realize that their mindsets are still different. Even though they came from the same family, there's a lot that is different amongst these people, yet they are all from the same place. You can have many Ghanaians in Dubai, but they all behave differently. You're like, are you sure you're Ghanaian? It doesn't make that person any less. Let's normalize the fact that we have diverse thoughts, diverse perceptions, and it's okay to be one people, even in our diversity. Now, physical boundaries. Many people just don't get this physical boundaries concept. I mentioned earlier that some of the causes for people-pleasing traits could stem from trauma. Imagine people who have been exposed to physical abuse, sexual abuse and haven't recovered from it. And you have people who cringe just by the slightest touch. I've had clients who, even when you tap them on the shoulder, they panic. So imagine having such a person or being the person who always wants to please people, knowing that you cringe when you are being touched, or you don't like being touched in certain areas, but you cannot come out to make these people understand that I don't like you when you put your arms around my shoulder. I don't know, I feel very uncomfortable. And until you evolve around that discomfort, these people should understand that this is who you are currently. And you too, if you have people who have those cringes, I want us to see this establishment of boundaries as a two-way thing. As much as you are setting boundaries, acknowledge that other people have boundaries too. So don't overstep their boundaries, just like you don't want them to overstep yours. So if you don't want me to touch you in a certain way, try not to touch other people in those ways too. And make your submissions clear to people. Imagine if you are in a love relationship with somebody and this person has issues with physical touch. Yet you don't want to understand that. Why can't I touch you like this? Why can't I spank your bum bum? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? But if we calm down and understand that, oh, this person has gone through a classical experience or a significant experience that has affected them. So how do you rather help them become better or evolve around that particular trauma bond so that we all respect each other's boundaries? So that is the physical boundaries that we can set. If you find yourself in a work environment where you are always being intruded on, you have your space, but there's this person who always wants to, dump their computer on your desk, dump their food, their leftovers, whatever it is. It is on your table. They always want to eat and leave and get up and go. Is there anything wrong with your table? Why can't you eat at your space? That physical presence that always degrades you, that always demeans you, undermines your presence. Normalize the culture of saying no and accept the culture of saying yes to yourself. I hope I have not succeeded in confusing anybody. Like I said, today, my aim here is to convince you to stop making excuses to continue pleasing people. Start putting yourself first. Start treating yourself like someone you love. Imagine you meet this lady or this young man that you like, you love so much. You see the energy we put into wanting to please these people. Let's start giving 50% of that energy to ourselves, starting from today. And let's see how the dynamics in our relationships will change, even the relationship you keep with yourself. If you've been able to identify that these traits stem from unhealed trauma or experiences in the past, can I start identifying those things? You can start by doing an introspection. Sit down or, in the comfort of whatever space, reflect on how did I get to this point? What are the things that have contributed to me becoming this person? And how do I start a journey of changing them or unlearning and relearning new skills that can help me become a better person, or that can help me to prioritize myself as much as I'm prioritizing other people? So it's like you are in a school, a college, the college of people pleasing. And today, let's take today as our graduation day. That today we graduate from that college of people pleasing, the college of what will people think about me, the college of societal, I don't know, societal pressures, yes. A lot of times we just assume that society wants us to be this, so we have to be what society wants us to be. But the actual sense is nobody gives an F what you do or what you become. If you are not there today, the speed at which you will be replaced is so fast, like the speed of light. Everybody is replaceable. Everybody, nobody is indispensable. Like, if I leave this person, they cannot survive. Leave them and see. They will survive. They'll live their lives like you never existed. And today, I want us to have a restructure of our thoughts, an assessment of our overindulgence or the compulsion we have to be that person for people at the expense of ourselves. And let's start that journey of rediscovery, that journey of being a better person for yourself, and then it will transcend in the relationship we keep with other people. I want us to take ourselves like I have this jar here. I keep water in to drink, and let's assume that this container is dirty. I haven't cleaned it in a while. It has dust and all of that in it, and then I pour the most expensive water in the world into it, and I offer it to you to drink. I don't know how many of us will consume of the water, knowing very well that the jar is dirty. How many of us will drink that expensive water? I don't know the most expensive water in the world, but or champagne or something. I pour it into a very dirty container for you to drink. Now you are the container. The more you give that energy of yours to other people, the more you deposit all of you into other people, you are failing to clean your vessel. And with time, your vessel becomes dirty. So no matter the content you put into that vessel, you cannot consume of it. Why? Because the vessel is empty, is dirty. So today, we start the journey of cleaning our vessel. Today, we graduate from the college of people pleasing. Let's start taking time to clean ourselves. Start putting in the content that can be consumed in this clean vessel. If you are champagne, accept it as that and clean your wine glass or your champagne glass so that you can wholly consume of that champagne. Because you keep pouring the champagne into some other people who have cleaned their glasses. So they are consuming of that champagne. But you, who that champagne belongs to, you cannot consume. Why? Because your vessel is dirty and it cannot be consumed. Like you cannot consume from that vessel. So that's the reflection I want to leave with you today. Whilst we open up for questions or any comments or contributions that will come. A lot of times also we find ourselves that we are committed to the familiar discomfort. So this is who you've been for 30 years. This is who you've been for 45 years. This is who you've been for 27 years. So it is a familiar discomfort. You don't like it. You don't like shrinking yourself for other people, but it's like, if I don't do it, worst case scenario, if you don't do it, what will happen? So let's not get committed to the familiar discomfort, so much so that we lose sight of that unfamiliar new possibility for us. Maybe if you start treating yourself a little bit better, if you start giving yourself that attention you give to other people who don't deserve it or who take advantage of it, you might start seeing yourself in a different light. You might start evolving into this woman, this man that you always desire to be. And you will still be everybody's friend. Thank you.
I'll say thank you very much. I'm sure we can all relate. We are all victims of this in one way or the other. So before I ask my own question, there is a question here already on the chat. So Mariam asks, what if I choose myself so much that it hurts the ones around me? What if I choose myself so much that it hurts the ones around me?
I already established that the balance is what we are looking at.
Yes.
So we are looking at where we are able to draw that balance. It is a two-way street. Setting boundaries is a two-way street. As you are establishing those boundaries and you want people to adhere, you too adhere to people's boundaries and then establish that balance. If you choose yourself too much, if you always want people to prioritize you, over themselves, or you always want to over prioritize yourself over other people, even at their expense, it means you're not establishing those clear balances. You need to understand that your boundaries end where someone else's boundaries begin. So if you are always that dominant factor, that overriding factor in people's lives and even yours, it means you're not setting healthy balances and healthy boundaries for these people.
Yeah.
I don't know if
No,
you
I
get me
got it.
right.
I got it. Actually, well, I'm trying to say that I tend to impose my boundaries to people because I'm trying to protect myself. But the way she said it, like, I need to understand even the other person is setting a boundary. I understand that sometimes I don't have to be understood. It is me who has to understand. And I appreciate that. So I'm like, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so for me, I think I would like to, I'm just in that place where I'm just wondering, okay, now I'll give an example, a real example, right? Yeah. So I have my friend and she has kids, okay? I love the kids, as in I love the kids. So I've been in their life since everybody knows me with those kids. You see, everybody's laughing. I love the kids, But, okay, for some reasons, some part of me always wants to be there. You understand? Always want to be there. As in now, if you tell me, Rosette, the kids, this, I will avail myself. Whether I had another thing to do or not, I'll avail myself. But then I remember another friend of mine once asked me, Rosette, do you know I think you're a people's pleaser because you always want to please your friend. But for some reasons, for me, I actually don't want to please my friend. But I do it because of the kids, not because of her. You understand? So in that part, I keep asking myself, is that still considered as a people's pleaser? Because I'm actually, or even if it's a child you're pleasing, you're still pleasing. Where does that fall?
Yeah. So is it a compulsion? Do you feel like I have to do this?
No.
Even at the expense of maybe other things that you find yourself desiring to do?
For me, I know, because even
why are you?
Yes, for me, you'll find even my friend herself, the last thing he will want is for me to as in, okay, how do I put it? For me to, as in, it's as if I'm supposed to do something else which is more important and then stop it because of them. For her, she also knows because me comes first before them. But for me, I would rather, if it's something that I feel, and it's as if I weigh, I think this is more important. But for some reasons, the kids' part normally wins. Even if this other one is still important, but I feel I can postpone this one. But the kids, there is that thing that, I don't know, there is that thing because of the love I have for the kids. There is that thing that this will always win the other. So sometimes the friend who was telling me I'm a people's pleaser, she will tell me, sometimes you sacrifice too much. But when it comes to the kids, I don't see it as too much. I don't know. So I keep wondering, is that also people pleasing?
One thing in therapy is until your client acknowledges that this is a problem for me, I sincerely cannot say that, oh, this is a problem. Because if people are identifying around you that, you are doing too much, you're over-sacrificing, you're over-exerting yourself, but you say, oh, no. I'm okay. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. Then there's very little that anybody can do to draw your attention to it until you take a close assessment of your engagement with these people. Sometimes the special factor is that, oh, this person has been good to me before. So there are people who might feel indebted to such people for the rest of their lives, even if it inconveniences them. So you have to do everything just to pay up for that good that this person has been to you.
Yeah.
And it can become very tiring, because if everybody who is around you does good to you, and you have to give that energy to everybody around you, you may grow weary. And you too, you do good to people, do they feel indebted to you all the time? And does that cycle evolve around the other people you do good to? Or you are the only person who feels like the moment someone does good to you, then you are forever indebted to them?
Yeah.
Those are also people pleasing traits.
Yeah.
This is Sister Patricia. She said, always making people happy, especially in my relationship. I'm the one to give in, even if it's against my will. Am I a people's pleaser?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, please.
It's a conversation. Welcome.
Yeah. If you are the one who always has to, make the other person happy, do they take time to make you happy too? Is it a balanced strike? Is it a mutual effort to make each other happy? If you find yourself wanting to overdo, and always being that person who has to, in quotes, baby this other person's needs and emotions at the expense of yours, then I won't even call that relationship a healthy one, because it is too one-sided. If both of you are making efforts to make each other happy, maybe my definition of making you happy is taking you out on dates, or buying stuff for you, or calling you, and yours is to let's say nice things to me, or run errands for me. We all have ways, unique ways we show our love to people. So the fact that I like taking you out doesn't mean you should also like taking me out. But you may be expressing yours in other areas that I might not be expressive of mine. And it's mutual. But if you are the one who has to take the person out, buy gifts for the person, make sure the person has eaten, are you sleeping well? And you are doing all of that, and the person is not doing a quarter of all that you are doing for you, you'll get tired. It's very draining, and it's not healthy. What if some of these people that you are always, there's this edge to want to make them happy, even when they're not making you happy? So it could be from childhood orientation, or a cycle of relationships that have informed you in that way, that I have to be the that person who has to always hold the relationship. I don't know if this is from a woman, but
Yes,
if it is from a woman, women, all right. So women in Africa especially, there's this grounding or orientation that the relationship rests on you. You need to keep the relationship. And so if it means losing your sanity with the aim of keeping the relationship, many women will go all out to do that. And I'm so sorry for the men. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, I'm not anti-man or I'm anti-men. I'm only saying that the orientation that we have as women in this part of the world puts a lot of pressure on many women to want to, exert all they have into relationships, when in many times it is not reciprocal. If you have a good man who is meeting you with all the goodies you are bringing in the relationship, voila, fantastic, go all out for it. But if you realize that this person is not that deep for him, but you are the one who is always, I think you should slow down, start giving some of that happiness to yourself. And
Yeah, okay. So we do have another question. The question is from Sams. Okay, Sams, I'm not sure if he's a guy or a lady. Sams, okay. So his question, the question is, what of the friends that always ask for money as they don't have a source of income? At what point can we just say no, even when we can afford to give? Okay.
So this comes to material boundaries, setting material boundaries, sharing with people what you have. Many a times the advice I give people is, for those who don't have Sometimes they even have a source of income, but they just like to borrow things because they know that, oh, this guy, he's good. Anything you ask him, he'll give you. So they will still come and borrow. But how much can you conveniently part with that will not inconvenience you? Ask yourself that question. How much can you conveniently part with? Currently, as I sit here, I don't lend money to people anymore. So if you ask me for a loan, I look at how much can I conveniently give you that even if you don't pay back, it's okay. He or she can go. Because if I give you, let's say someone comes to borrow in Ghana money, let's say your salary is 2,000 and this person comes to borrow 1,500 with the hope that they will pay back and they never do. Imagine how you have to strain yourself to survive on the 500. But if you feel like this person, they don't have any means of paying back. So I'll give you the 500 for free. And then, take my 1,500 that I can manage conveniently. Because if you always, takers don't know the limits. They don't care how you feel after giving them the money. Once they are getting their way out, they will always indulge. So you have to establish those boundaries that this is how much I can conveniently part with. So I'll give you this. If it's okay with you, you can take it. If it is not, you still have your full money to yourself. If you don't have much, but the little you can conveniently part with, if you think it's enough support for the person, please do. And don't feel bad that you are always not available to give a lot. Especially, like you said, they don't have any source of income.
Okay, society has made men not to open up, which has us not tapped in with our emotional side. What's your take on this?
For anyone who knows me or has followed me over time, I really, really, really am concerned about men's health and men's mental health. This month of November is about men's health. So happy men's health to all every man over here. And this very thing, this very orientation where men are made to bottle up emotions has been very unfair to men, whether they've come to accept it or not. Today I came to tell you that we've been very unfair to you to raise you like this. That a man, when you come to Ghana, for the Ghanaians here, we have a lot of proverbs that are very anti-men expression. I don't know how to put it. But it's like the man always has to take the better care. The man is the one who always has to. Men don't cry. In Africa, they say men don't cry. So many unhealthy things that keep men in an emotional box. And I want to start by apologizing to the men that we are very sorry that this orientation is there with you. But how do we evolve as men around this toxic narrative? Now we are already adults. So we can't go back and be children and express ourselves. But as an adult now, can you identify the emotional gaps that you haven't been able to overcome as a man in your friendships, in your relationships, in your work ethics, etc.? And what are the skills that you can start learning to evolve, to be a better man? Where when you have a son, you can now pass on this new orientation to your son. Everywhere in the world, I dare say everywhere in the world, if you have two children, a boy and a girl, your girl comes back from school or something, says that somebody slapped her at school. Chances that you hold your daughter's hand, march her back to the school, look for whoever slapped her and slap the person right back is very high. But if your son comes to tell you crying that somebody slapped me, say, and what did you do? You stood there, the person slapped you, and you are here telling me somebody slapped you. Are you mad? Go back and slap the person. That is what we do to our boys. So the boy child naturally grows with this orientation that I have to be robust, I have to be aggressive, I have to be tough, so that nobody can, see vulnerability from my side, which is not health. It's not a healthy orientation we've given to our boys, or society has given to our boys. Going forward, we are charging our men. Let us start evolving around these societal norms, where men need to always bottle up, where men always need to shield themselves against vulnerability. Being vulnerable does not make you weak. Expressing emotions does not make you any less of a man. It will not reduce your testosterone. It will not reduce your ability to nothing. It doesn't change anything. It just keeps your brain in a place of safety. If we should, maybe it's one of the reasons men die before the women. I'm so sorry. But when we look at the unhealthy emotions that men bottle up, from grief, a man might lose his job, a man might lose his child, a man loses relationships. When a woman jilts a man, we all laugh about it. But when a man jilts a woman, we will come for your throat. We will tear you into pieces. And it's been unfair over time to our men, or for many men who have come out from this orientation. It's been unfair to them. And it transcends in your relationships with everybody, including your spouse and the family you create. That if you took a little time to assess these gaps and normalize vulnerability, the brain is always ready to relearn new skills. Just like you've been taught this and the brain teaches you that, okay, this is who I have to be. That same energy can translate into what can I learn over time to become a better person? Can I start reading books? Can I go online? And now internet has made life very easy for us. YouTube, reading books, podcasts, all these things has information where you can learn new skills to become better people. So once you identify that this is something, this is a cloud that is around us that makes it difficult for us to have progressive relationships, how can I start working at it? So for all the men on this platform, can we start a new reform where whatever society has made us to understand, like I said, for women, there's this orientation too. These are some of the orientations men also have that haven't been too fair to them. So after apologizing to the men, I now want to charge all the men. We can start a new narrative. Let's transform this mentality so that we don't pass on the trauma we experience to our boys.
We have a question. What if we do things maybe pleasing others for the sake of peace?
Okay.
Yes.
I think I already talked about that, where there is this anxiety to always be peaceful or anxiety to avoid conflicts. Diversity is part of life. The fact that we disagree with people does not mean that we are fighting with them in quotes or we are conflicting with them. If this person has an opinion, you have yours, but they are not the same thing. I think that's the beauty of how different the two of you are. It doesn't mean that the two of you cannot thrive together. You understand? But you just have to understand that everybody has a mind of their own, and you don't have to relegate your mind at the expense of these people. If this is genuinely your take on an issue, there's a nice way of always expressing yourselves. I don't know why people think the moment we disagree, then it has to be a banter. It has to be, chaotic. We can smoothly, we can, we can always have diverse conversations in very less provocative atmospheres. we just need to establish that it doesn't always have to be chaotic. I don't have to raise my voice because I disagree with you. I don't have to yell at you because your opinion doesn't make sense to me. You understand? So let's normalize that we have diverse thoughts. And the fact that I support Manchester United and you support Liverpool does not make you my enemy, or does not mean we should always have an argument about football. Because you can actually support my team, and we all know that. I don't want to mention the name of a specific player. Okay, let's say that we can all be supporting. Let's say I support Barcelona, you support Liverpool, but we know that C. Ronaldo is an excellent footballer. So we can all have those diverse thoughts, but we can still thrive. Don't always see disagreement as conflict, that it has to be chaotic because I disagree with you. We can always have peaceful disagreements, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Which are some of the podcasts you can recommend to our men?
Okay. I know Jay Shetty. I think that's the name, Jay Shetty.
Jay Shetty. Okay.
He has a podcast. Yeah, and he has a YouTube also. He addresses, a lot of concerns that men, peculiar to men. I'll look for other specific names of people who present some of these podcasts. I'll share with Rosette, and if you have a platform or something, she can share it with you on that platform so that you can have access to them.